Hi, guys, and welcome to what I have been called what I have been calling office hours, or what I'm going to be calling officer. Oh no, not that office hours. You're gonna appease me, so we're just gonna start off with this at the fact that this is a live stream. I live stream. I did about 15 minutes of talking up to 15 minutes of talking just previously in a new stream, in an old stream, because I just cut out and come back in because I noticed that I was not, in fact, I did not have my mic on, so my mic just was not recording via OBS. Very good. There's going to be a stream where I'm just sitting there writing and speaking, but you can't hear me, so that's great. So we're going to talk about, this is open office hours. This is going to be a weekly live stream that I have started where I'm trying to do more lecture style things. So I want to just begin with kind of what this is, and then we'll go into kind of who am I, my qualifications in IT, what I've done. Feel free to ask any questions you have at all for anything. Mostly, I will more likely answer IT related questions, and I will try to answer them. If I don't know the answer, I will probably even stop right now and try and look it up to see if I can get you an answer. If not, I'll jot it down for a next week revision. But open office is basically just, I want to try to do lectures. I want to share the information that I know in my experiences doing IT to the world, so that more people have access to it. Because I find that lecture styles, like college lecture styles, has always helped me, but college is like way too expensive for most people, and I think it's great if you like that style, and it should just be more accessible. So I want to be that kind of middle ground where I'm not in a classroom, so you can't just like face-to-face interact with me, but you can message me on chat. I'll have social medias up that you can always reach out to me through, and just kind of try and cultivate a community of people who want to learn or share knowledge on topics. Again, mainly IT, because that's what I do, but I am very willing to basically open this community to anything that I find interesting, or anything that is interesting. So sorry, we're gonna scroll through this a little bit, because again, I kind of did a bunch of this already, so I want to kind of get through this again, and then we have a lot to do. So open office hours is going to be weekly. We are going to try, the normal schedule is going to be weekly at Sunday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Time. Daylight Savings is annoying. I don't remember which one we are in. I think we're in daytime. But we're going to try to do Sundays, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., or for the military nerds, 1700 to 2200. Military time nerds. We're going to try to do that. I have 4 weeks. I have the next 4 weeks planned out. And I'm going to try to do that basically. I'm going to basically try in like 2 weeks have an idea of what I'm going to do for the next 4 weeks out. It will always be on my Twitch page. It should show you my schedule. You'll notice that I say Sundays, and then my next stream is, in fact, I believe, Friday. And then the week after that is Saturday. This is just because some life things came up and I had to change. It happens. It's just funny that I was like, oh, I'll just do Sundays. I don't have anything going on, and I'll start this month. But regardless, yeah, so we'll do that. So like right now, our schedule is slated to be week 1, which is this week, to be VMs, what they are and how to use them. And by VMs, I am talking about virtual machines. I'm going to get some things wrong about this because I am, in fact, human. But virtual machines are a pretty important thing. I love them for studying. I love them for anonymity. I use them quite often for a bunch of things. Like a little bit about me. I don't mind. I am strongly in favor of anything that you can kind of erase and not have to worry about. So for me, like I will browse if I use Tor or what colloquially people know as the dark web. Tor is how you get through, is really the relay for it, or the protocol. Tor stands for the Onion Router. We'll get more into the weeds of Tor and the Onion Router very far from now. There's a lot that I want to look up for. I love the idea of Tor. I love the fact that it acts as proxies. You can get around regulations and restrictions. It's great. We love it. But I will, if I browse Tor, which I do occasionally, I find it fun, fascinating. There's random like just blogs and stuff, and I've never come across anything bad. Doing it, I've just come across interesting things. I like doing it, but I do it through a VM. And after that VM's done, I trash it. It doesn't exist anymore. I throw it away. I've done it with Tails installations too, which is, again, we're getting into the weeds of it, but it's a Linux thumb drive that I can carry around, boot into. When I pull it out, it forgets everything. It's a great little tool, especially for if you want some level of anonymity, or you're just trying to do something. Not every time you're doing something in secret is it bad. It's important to know that you can do it. So that's week 1 is virtual machines. Ignore all of this. This was a lot of rambling. So VMs or virtual machines. We'll get into kind of what they are and how they work in a bit. Again, I just want to go over what is office hours, what is our schedule, and then we'll get into who am I, and then we'll get into the main topic. So week 2, so next week, which is, I believe, the Friday, we will be doing a live stream of, we're doing a introduction to Linux. Linux is an operating system that most people are familiar with, if just in passing. Linux is the foundation for Android. It runs, I believe, I am kind of calling this stat off the top of my head, I believe it runs 97% of the web, though. So, like, if you go to google.com, they're not running a Windows server that you go into to see your web, to see google.com. It is running on a Linux host, more than likely. So Linux is a very important thing to understand. Even if you're going to go into computers, not looking to do Linux level stuff, maybe you just want to do IT stuff, like help desk repairs, Linux is still a great thing to know. It is a invaluable tool to know. So we're going to be doing an intro to Linux for week 2. Week 3 and 4 is currently slated, but I might have to change these. They are going to be setting up a lab, specifically my lab. So right now I am just using my laptop that I have that I use daily. And I use it and this is just to set up the current things. We'll do Linux off of it. For those who, we'll install Linux on some VMs. Like, we'll just use this for now. But my plan is that I'm going to be purchasing a workstation that will exist solely for these streams, where it will host all of the VMs. basically, anytime we do something, instead of me doing it off of my laptop, we'll doing it off of this. We might be using my laptop to then go to my, like, we might use my laptop and then I'll RDP or SSH, which I'm already getting into the acronyms. I just said 2 acronyms. We should explain them, even though it's off topic for what I'm doing right now. Hi, sorry for bothering you. I wanted to. Woo! Yes, we got a first time streamer and it's an instant band. Cool. I love bots. I should have just left it. It's another viewer. Wow. Sorry. That person threw me off. So SSH is short for secure shell. This is, again, getting in a lot of weeds, but effectively it is a way of over the network controlling your PC, but it doesn't control it. You can send it prompts and commands to do, but it doesn't give you another acronym. It doesn't give you a GUI. A GUI is a graphical. Oh, I didn't think this would be in my way already. Why are you locked? Sorry about that. Graphical user interface. So a GUI is basically just, you see how Windows, it just means that it has a thing that you can interact with. So, oh, actually, I don't need that. Okay, that would explain why it was acting weird. Graphical user interface. That program, we'll explain that program in a bit. But anyways, graphical user interface. It is how you interact with most PCs. This is a GUI, right? I can click on it. It has a mouse. Secure shell or some things without graphical interface, you will interact with this. This will be the entire computer. I know a lot of people will know this via old OSs used to just not have a graphical user interface. I don't remember when that, I don't know when that changed. I should look that up, but again, we are getting far from the weeds of what I wanted to talk about today, but my ADHD knows no bounds. But yeah, so secure shell would give you something like this. So right, so in here you can just, give it commands. So like, I want to see if this has access to the internet. I can ping google.com. Cool. I'm getting an IP address, everything. Yep, but that would just be how it does. So secure shell gives me that to interface with the computer. RDP is, you're probably all familiar and have used RDP. It stands for remote desktop protocol. Imagine if you worked at a place and let's say you had a home computer and you just wanted to remote into your work computer and do work. You control your work computer via your home computer. That is all RDP. It is just the actual underlying technology that handles that. So yeah, week 3 and 4 we'll be setting up this lab. It might get pushed because I'm buying the PC soon. It might not arrive in time, but I'll inform you guys about that. If it doesn't go off, I might just do another stream that is another one of these. Again, this is my first stream, so I might actually just come in and do another VM thing, or I might wait a little. I have a ton of topics I can talk about. It could just be as easy as It could just be as lazy as just like coming in, throwing down some more Linux commands, anything else that you would want to know. Again, just in case people are coming and joining in, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. I will gladly answer, if I can, any questions you guys have. So I think now we should get to the topic of who am I? Right? You guys have just maybe you've tuned into the stream, maybe you are watching this after the fact, and I have not talked about myself. So my name is Joel. We'll just start with that, right? Simple. My name is Joel. I go by Jello, J-E-L-O, or maybe J3LO, depends. Or Jello Shots. This really came from my photography because it's a really funny play on words. But with that, my name is Joel. I go by Jello or Jello Shots. Call me what any of those, I'll respond. I currently in my life, I am currently working as a DevOps engineer. At the time of this live stream, I'm a DevOps engineer. Do I expect that to change anytime soon? No, but I might become a security engineer. But what a DevOps engineer does, for the most basic terms, is that I deploy the tools that developers use. So when a developer writes a code, he needs systems and tools to do his work, and I design those. I engineer the solutions for those. So I'm going to give an example of something called Git. Lab is what I use, but GitHub is another option. Most people won't know what this is. If you know what this is, you're probably into computer science. You're probably a computer science major or work as a programmer or developer or a DevOps engineer. But in the most basic terms, for a stream that is not about developer tools, GitLab deals with version controls. So if you've ever seen a video game update, you'll notice that, or any software actually, gets updates like this. So if you'll ever notice that maybe a game releases with version 1.0, right? A new game comes out, it's version 1.0, it's live, it's the most up-to-date, it's the first production ready thing. Production means for consumer ready. I know this gets a little bit broken with early access games, but you'll notice that then, like, they have a bug. Oh, hey, look, somebody found a game-breaking crash. We need to fix it. So you'll notice that they'll release a version called 1.1 or 1.01, depending on how they do this. GitLab handles this version control, right? It handles you changing your code and having a repo of showing what got changed, how it's changed, and version management. This is very in the weeds for a video not about it, or a live stream not about it, right? But I just want to show, like, I do things like this, right? I manage a GitLab instance for developers who work in my company, or in the company I work for. So that's kind of what, that is my current job. But I have been working in IT on and off since 2015. Since 2015, I've done paid gigs in IT. Technically, my school originally hired me, I think, in 2013, not as a paid person, but as I got credits and a grade to work and fix their IT. But in 2015, I was hired as a summer intern at my local high school. And then since then, I've been working on and off. Mostly, there were some off periods, mostly because of college. So, right, like most people, I went to college. I only got an associate's, though, unlike a lot of people I know in the field. I got an associate's in science for cybersecurity. investigations. So, right? Like, full stop, that is my degree. I got a job, I got a associate's degree that's split into two parts. One part, the major part of it was cybersecurity, protecting your data from hackers. The other part of it was digital forensics. And this was cool because this allowed me to it combined very well because if we would learn how to defend somebody or how to do an attack. And then the other classes would be if somebody does attack you, what do you do? Like, how do you find out how do you find out what happened? And digital forensics covers all of that, right? I could go through a computer, I could find information that people didn't want me to find. I could look through the registry and see events. I could see people logged in, what IPs logged in. It was very cool. So I got an associate's, and that's the only college I have. I will say, for certifications, which are the bread butter of the world, I only have one. I am going for another one, but I actually only have one certification, even though I agree that they are the bread and butter of IT, right? If you want to get into IT, you could go to college. Some places still require it, though the US government for cybersecurity seems to be dropping that requirement to just needing certifications. So it's probably a really good time to start. But my only certification, which I recommend anyone get certifications, is I have a Security Plus certification from CompTIA. Most people won't know what that is, but for those who do want to know my credentials, that is my only only current certification at this moment. Sorry, I'm looking at it hanging on the wall. But you can see that I am very heavily focused on cybersecurity, but I work as a DevOps engineer. Why opportunity came. I love my team right now. It's a great gig. But that is kind of me. In the world of IT, I have noticed that I have only talked about who I am in regards to my credentials of IT, but maybe you guys want to know a little bit more. So, like, here's just some hobbies I like to do. In no particular order, I play a lot of tabletop RPGs. Specifically, I play a lot of D&D 5e. I play some card games, tabletop card games. Currently, my favorite card game is my favorite competitive card game is Netrunner. For the 4 people in the world that will know what that is, they're excited. But the Netrunner community is great. I do photography, as I talked about earlier. That is linked to my Instagram, which I think is linked to my Twitch. If it's not, it probably will be. And then I do spray paint. I like to spray paint. I like to do space scenes in spray paint art. Again, it's on my Instagram. I might show off some pieces in some downtime streams. Or if I have time. Just speaking of time, I know that I said Sundays 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. This will be always the same time for any topics. So if you're just here for the weekly topic, or you're really interested in the weekly topic, this will be the time I deal with it. I might run a little later, but I try not to. I would rather just do a part 2 than have to run longer. Obviously, I work Monday through Friday. I don't want to stay up that late. But sometimes I might come on at like 6, 5 p.m. even sometimes if I'm free. So anything that is before 7, I will be doing other things. I might be answering some questions. I might be streaming some video games. That might actually happen. Or I'll be showing off some cool stuff that I've done. But I like live streaming. I've done it on and off for a while. Mostly on this channel. Some people will know me. Some people might know me from my Twitch channel, a Twitch channel I did with some friends called Cozy Cove Gaming, which I shout out to them. Go follow them because I think it would be really funny if I started streaming and got them a bunch of followers, and then to convince them to start streaming again. Cozy Cove Gaming is another channel I've streamed in. I've done a lot of streams here. You'll see them on the things. I used to play a lot of Payday 2. Great game. But yeah, these are kind of my main hobbies. I play some video games, not that often. Right now I'm trying to beat Dragon Age 2. But it has been 47 minutes since I said I would start the topic. So maybe it is time to move over to the topic. Which then leads the question of what is a VM? Well, a VM is simply a virtual machine. Now, what is a VM? Now, you might look at that and go, what does that mean? And that's right. I did just answer by saying just what the acronym meant. Yeah, but a VM or a virtual machine is actually just I want to get the words right. It's not an emulator. Yeah, so it is not an emulator. It might sort of act like it, but I would disagree with anyone that calls it an emulator. It does not emulate, it just is. It doesn't emulate a system, it is a system. It uses your computer components or your system to run another system inside software. So it is almost just a software machine. With it, you give it, which means you give it CPU cores, you give it RAM, access. It's more generally you give it access to these things. You give it access to certain a certain number of CPU cores. You give it access to some amount of RAM. I'm gonna use the term you just give it to more simplify it. Again, this is a real introduction level course. I will probably, when I go back to doing VM's probably in like 2-3 months maybe. I can't really predict the future on how much I will feel confident going higher, or if I have a friend who will come and try to explain it more. But that to say, you give it some CPU cores, you give it some RAM, and you create a hard drive. It actually does have, or not a hard drive. I want to beat out of people's heads of calling things hard drives because most people don't have hard drives, or most things aren't on hard drives. A lot of things have just SSDs. This laptop does not have a single hard drive. It has an SSD, which is a solid state. Sorry, I just have a mosquito in my face. Solid state drive. The difference between a hard drive, which is what most people know, and what SSD means, is there's no physical moving disks. There's no moving parts at all. A solid state drive is just it's just a circuit board with some memory modules on it, where a hard drive has a platter, an actual physical disk that spins, and then there's a little laser that reads. This will be explained more, and I'm going to do a software hardware After I set up my lab, I will probably do, or maybe the week that I can't do those, I will be doing going over what is hardware and then what is software. Like hardware 101, software 101. It is a heavily important thing to understand the differences of, but I did not have enough time to prep to teach you that. So instead of calling things hard drives or SSDs, I want to teach people to use the term storage. So you do give it CPUs, you give it RAM, and you give it storage. Now, you don't give it a physical disk, a physical item. You give it a virtual disk or virtual drive, which is a file on your system that will act like a hard drive. Now, that might be a little complex because I said it doesn't emulate, but virtualization is a very complex topic, and emulation does fit in the virtualization sphere. It's just is a little hard, and I want to make clear that there is a difference between an emulator and a virtual machine, even though they do overlap quite a bit. So with this, you will give it this, you'll give it CPU cores, you'll give it RAM, you'll give it storage. Now you might go, how do you do that? Well, that's where the main topic comes in. It's how to do that. But before we get into the how, maybe we should go into the why. Well, easily the best reason for me to give you a virtual machine is it's separate. It is a separate machine that is through your computer but has barricades. Separate machine. So it might depend on your machine. It needs your machine to work, to function. Like your machine needs to be fully functioning for it to work. But it is a separate machine. So if you do something to your VM, it, in most cases, does not, your host machine, your machine that creates the VMs that you run the VMs off, is called the host. So let's say VM1. Let's make it bigger and then call it VM1. So your host, let's say you just have a host called VM1. Let's say a virus. Let's say you went to a bad website and you got a virus. Installed itself on the VM, unless it is very specifically built, which they can be built for this. But again, that's almost more targeted. That's a lot to deal with, but like in all, this virus is not likely to jump out to get to your host, which means it just exists on the VM, which means you just blow it away. You can just delete it. Another thing you can do is maybe you're testing around, maybe you want to learn how to break a machine. You could spin up, let's say, a Windows VM. Maybe you spin up Windows VM. VMs have this ability to make what are called snapshots, which are basically just... How do I best describe this? Snapshots are basically just what is a snapshot. Like it captures what the virtual machine looked at the point that you made the snapshot. So let's say you make a snapshot after you made a Windows machine. It's working perfectly fine. It does whatever you need. It can install software. And then let's say you're goofing around and you just delete System32. And you get past all of the security that Windows bakes in. I don't really want to deal with that. It's hard to delete System32. It doesn't like it. But let's say you do manage, you crack through, you break it, you delete System32. Your system crashes now. Now you can't boot into Windows. But you just use that snapshot that you made of the thing before, and you're happy and go lucky. It's great for labs because it's great for learning. So I love it because of this, where it doesn't impact, it doesn't touch the host. You can install kind of weird software on it. Again, be careful doing stuff like that, because viruses can get out of the VMs. But if, let's say, you just wanted to go search something, it is a pretty safe way of doing it. There are safer ways. We will talk about it later. With that, another thing is that you get to run more than one operating system on your computer. So maybe you're like me. Maybe you're like, oh, I love Linux. It doesn't take my information. Windows 11 here, this eats a lot of information. So I once had a host that was a Linux host. So the machine that runs all the VMs. And I could actually physically pass it my GPU. I could physically pass my GPU to a Windows machine. Why did I do this? So I could game, because Windows has had more gaming opportunities, still does, but Linux is getting much better about it. I could game with my Windows machine and not worry about what what spyware or malware was being put on my Windows machine. And again, I can make snapshots. So if I did something and it broke it, I could just reformat it. But this was great because this was a great example of basically Windows. I don't trust it not to be doing things without my intention. There was a couple other issues I was having with Windows at the time, but this was great. You pass the GPU, you make a Windows machine. All of those kernel level anti-cheats can just run whenever they want. I don't really care, but they've cracked down on this. I'll explain that again in a little bit. Passing a GPU is physically passing hardware, which is a thing I said you can do. You don't generally do it, but in this case I did. And another thing is, I ran a Windows machine and a Linux machine at the same time. And because I could physically pass, it was more like I was running multiple things. I think, what was it? Linus Tech Tips did a 16, what was it, like 6 stations, 1 CPU, I think was the video he did, where he showed basically you could run 16 machines, 16 virtual machines, all independently for people to play games on. You would share all of the resources, but computers have so much power now that this was an actual, like, you could just get 6 computers out of it. That's an insane amount of value you could do if the gaming industry would let you do it more often. But they do not like Linux player. They do not like people doing this because they think it's ways of cheating. We can get into the weeds of that later. So that is the why. The why is there's many reasons to do it. One is you can do snapshots. You can experiment with software things. You might want to limit what access programs or operating systems have. And you can just have a lab, right? You can just have something that you can mess around with. You can blow it up. It doesn't really matter. For a corporation, which is more in line with what you would do if you were pursuing a career in IT, corporations love it because you can have many of them. One rack server can host hundreds, and I mean hundreds of VMs. So like Google.com has more than just one server, but we'll simplify this. So Google.com exists on many servers, but just one thing of Google.com, you hit it, and then it spins up a what are called pods or containers, which are micro VMs, and then it goes to you, and then it does this and because it's all more than one just machine, every person hitting it gets can get their own instance, or maybe even one pod can host multiple. But like it can just turn out traffic, and because it's doing this, if one pod goes bad, it doesn't take down the entire website. One VM could go bad. There's ways of even like just auto rebooting, but like let's say you fail to connect to this breaks, you break, everyone that's connected to it breaks, but the whole thing continues to run. Or let's say you're like, oh, I'm a developer, I need 2 CPUs and 4 gigs of bytes of RAM for a project. Instead of me going out and buying a computer that might have these specs for $300 maybe, I could just give you a piece of this server. Perfect. You get it. It's way cheaper for us, right? It becomes like 15 cents. Possibly even less. I'm not 100% sure on the averages on the cost there, but like it is fractions compared to the amount of money that they would have to spend to buy a new computer just for one programmer to need one machine. And I'm gonna be honest, I myself at currently for my corporate things, I have 6. I have 6 or 7 VMs for my project, for just me, because I need like Windows machines, different types of Linux. So this is in corporations, VMs are a godsend. They allow you to basically buy one really expensive machine, but you can break it up into many little machines, and the economy of scale there is great. So I think it is now 8 o'clock. It is 1 hour into the stream time. Let's get into the thick of it. This is how to install VMs. All right, so to install a virtual machine, you are going to need something called a virtual machine manager software. You are going to notice that I have 3 right off the rip. Sorry, I need to just switch. So you're going to notice that I have 3 right here. Let's talk about the pros and cons of each one. So they're all free. So free is not a pro here, except for it is. And we'll explain. So VMware Workstation is free for personal use. Apparently, getting into the weeds, VMware is a very well-known company that was recently bought out by another company. And it is weird that, it's Workstation Pro even is free for personal use. I am going to be honest and fair. Do not get this. Do not use this unless for some reason you have to. It asked for me to get this. I need to make an account, which required my email address. And then I had to make a password for it, which is a problem for a lot of people. They don't randomize their passwords enough. Luckily, I have a password manager. I just made it a random thing, and I'm probably going to delete the account after this stream. So that was like, okay, fair enough. This isn't too bad. But then when I went to install this software, it asked me for my full name, my job title, gonna be honest, Broadcom, if you're watching this, I violated your rules. I just wrote no and no here. My first name is no, my last name is no. My job title, I think I put myself as an administrator. And then it asked me for, I think, a company name. Again, I probably just lied and said no. And then it asked me for my full legal street address. Like my home address. I did not do that. I put in the address of a random company that I know in the area. what is this? This is insane, VMware. You cannot ask these questions. So yeah, VMware, while it is free, do not use it. Oracle Virtual VM Virtual Machine or Oracle Virtual Box. Sorry, VM Virtual Box. It is free. Yeah, just straight up free. It's actually one of the greatest things. It also works on Windows and Linux. I don't know about Mac OS. I could look it up. I know VMware has a version called Fusion that does. I can look this up and we can talk about it next week or when I'm waiting for something to install. We'll come back to if this does, but it's just free. It's perfect. Hyper-V is probably the best one to learn off of, if only for that you are likely to encounter this in the real world. Your real world companies are probably running Hyper-V because they are probably running Windows servers. So it is free, but only for, and this is my problem with it. You need Windows 10/11 Pro for professional, EDU or education, or enterprise, which you're not going to have unless your company just doesn't care about you doing personal things on your laptop, which would be insane. So you need a Pro key, which I have, or an education, which I also have because I went to college. If you are going to college, you might actually have a free EDU license for Windows 10, or enterprise. That's an insane thing to require. Also, Microsoft, if we ever get large enough, sponsor me, please. Like, sponsor me, give me free. Sponsor me and let's do a giveaway for free EDU licenses. I'm teaching here. Can I get some licenses to give out to people? I don't need them. I have professional keys. I can get them. But professional is $150 software or something like that. It's insane. If you just happen to have it, some computers have given to it. This is the best one, in my opinion, to use. If you're for some reason using Linux, not for some reason, Linux is great. But if you're using Linux, VMware works. There's also one called KVM for Linux. You Linux head, you'll know what to do for virtual machines. If you don't use VirtualBox, somebody might tell me I'm wrong, but hey, it worked. It worked so well that in college I was using VirtualBox to run Windows Word or Microsoft Word because I didn't have Windows on my computer at the time. So Hyper-V is the other one. Hyper-V is the one that I'm going to give the gold star recommendation to if you are trying to learn this for a job. If you are just learning this to learn this, VirtualBox works really well. There we go. I can't draw stars backwards, apparently. So this one's getting my gold star, just because it's something that you will encounter. I don't use it all the time, but we'll talk about that because we'll get into the nitty-gritty of Tier 1 versus Tier 2 hypervisors, but that is not for today. Very much not for today. So with this, I forgot, I guess I should have mentioned that we are going to install 2 operating systems on each of these. So the first operating system I'm going to install is going to be Windows 10 Home Edition. I just don't really care. Maybe I'll do Pro if the ISO just asks me, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to be showing you how to install Windows on a virtual machine, which can be great for you to use if you want. If you want to learn stuff, sorry about that. Twitch is just giving me too many notifications. The Windows 10 Home, I'm going to be installing on all 3 of these. We are going to go by and I'm going to install a lot of VMs. If you're following along at home, if you're following along after this stream, just install one. you can skip along. If you're just following along, just listen to me rant. Ask questions, please. Always ask questions in the chat if you have any. I realized that I did not call this stream correctly. Sorry, guys. Office hours. I'm calling it office hours because when I was in college, I just remember office hours being the name of when the professor was in the office and you could just ask him any questions relating to anything. So that's going to be the first one. The next one we're going to do, which will be our Linux operating systems, we're doing something called Ubuntu. It's going to be 24.04 LTS. I should find out what LTS is. I think it's latest stable, though. I think it literally stands for latest stable. And what stable means, for those who are not developers, it is basically the last known good one. So when they do a lot of testings, they will produce developer versions specifically for people to test out. But with that comes with the possibility that they haven't done all of their bug fixing. They're actually they want you to go and use it because they can't find all of the bugs. So stable comes with a better guarantee that there isn't bugs or something. There always is, but it's the stable version. It's the one that you should use. So we're going to use 24. Ubuntu is a type of Linux. There are multiple operating systems. If you are in chat, I'm going to be posting the links to both of these. If you are tuning in after, I guess you can see my chat. Is that where the chat box is? One moment, guys. Sorry about that. I didn't realize that I even had that. And we are going to be installing the desktop version of Ubuntu. Again, how I talked about that there are GUI versions of software and not GUI versions of software. Yeah, that's... Sorry about this. Okay, yeah. So that is where chat is. Cool. I've moved chat down. I didn't realize that I even had that plugin. So yeah, we're going to be using the desktop version. When I talked about no GUI versus GUI operating systems, it is very important because in Linux, there are a lot of times where you're going to be using a not GUI version. I want to teach you guys the GUI version because I want to give you guys a familiar look and feel and show you that you could use Linux every day. Like you could just use it as your main desktop. And the reason we're doing Windows 10 is I just happen to have it. You could do 11. It might break though if your computer can't run 11. We are going to get into the nitty gritty here. You are going to want to download the 64-bit version, most likely, for both of these. I say most likely because it is possible your CPU or your actual computer, the computer that you're going to be downloading these on, does not have, I think it's called VTX on Intel and Virtualization Manager on Ryzen/AMD. I think I am correct about this. I might just have the name wrong, but to simplify this, there are technologies that let you handle virtual machines way better. And depending on your CPU and God wills the feelings of the manufacturers that day when they release the product, you may or may not have the options. I have not run into a machine that doesn't have these options in a very long time, but they could also be turned off in your BIOS. We're gonna clear the. I want to get into what a BIOS is later, but I just want to tell you that everything is an acronym. Basic input / output system is unironically what BIOS stands for. You're gonna learn that in IT, everything is an acronym. Like I haven't even let's say I said CPU. I just assume everyone's gonna know what a CPU is. But people probably don't know that it actually stands for a central processing unit. Like, that's an acronym. Obviously, if you just say CPU, people will understand. But RAM? Oh, you guessed it. Random access memory. That's an acronym. Again, in the hardware portion of... In the hardware week, I will make a note to make sure that we get this done. I will go over all of these acronyms. But for now, we're just going to clear the screen. We are going to start... I'm going to start with the VMware workstation. I've only installed Ubuntu on this once. So hopefully everything will go according to plan. If you guys are noticing, I'm delaying because I'm kind of concerned it's not. Oop. Sorry. LiveDraw is a great little tool. If anyone wants to tell me about a good software that would let me... I'm going on a rant. So I want to be able to just use my pen to draw on my screen while I live stream, because I want to be able to point out things. It's gonna be important real soon. But I have a mouse. So the problem with LiveDraw that I have... Pay no attention to the mess behind me. My problem here is that I have a little drawing tablet, right? Nothing too fancy, just a basic Wacom $50, $25 thing, and a pen. Is there a software that can let me draw on the screen but will recognize my mouse as just a mouse and my pen as a pen? Like, these are different devices. Let me assign this to be the only thing that can draw it. Do not draw with my mouse. I don't... Like, even if it's just a setting, like, if it defaults to using a mouse and I can just turn it off, thank you. I don't... Like, there's no reason for me to have to go through and, like, turn off my pen if I'm using my mouse. And this is the pen. That's my crazy rant for the day. If you know of a software, please let me know. It will save my... You don't understand how much it will actually save my sanity. So, VMware Workstation Pro. Let's boot into it. Back on track. Sorry about the delay. Oh, I did still have this. So we're just gonna... That's unfortunate. Whoa, perfect. We're gonna remove that first. Alright, so the first thing you do is you're gonna boot this up. If you use this, again, I recommend please don't use this unless you have to for some reason. Just don't. It's... I am very cautious of anything that's asking that much information from me. We're gonna do the typical install, because I don't think it's that important to do the advanced things yet. We might want to again later in a more advanced version of what VMs are, what crazy things you can do with them. But we're just gonna do a typical install. The first one I said we're going to install is Windows. So we're going to go here. We're going to go to my Windows installation. You'll notice that I have a bunch of different versions of Linux. When I said Linux gets crazy, I was not joking. These are all different types of Linux, but not really, and we'll get into that in the next week. But yes, just note that I am prepared to try to explain to you why they are different, but not different. Oh, sorry. Windows. This should be a Windows 10 ISO. Windows 10, and you'll see that it automatically detects x64. We're going to go to the next things. It's going to want a name for our Windows machine, or our VM, or Windows virtual machine. I'm just going to call it Windows 10. Doesn't need to be a fancy name. We're going to press next. This is making your storage. How big do you want it? It's going to recommend 60 gigs. I'm just going to leave it to the standard, but I also have an ungodly amount of space. I have 1.5 terabytes free of all NVMe SSDs. So I'm going to leave this to the standard. You might want to add more or less depending on how much you are. But you're also remembering, you also are only going to be installing 2 virtual machines, maybe? I'm installing 6, so to me that matters a bit more, because I'm going to be installing on each of these programs. So I can either put it into a single file or multiple files. This, to you, to a basic person, this is not going to matter. I'm going to put it into a single file for my sanity. For me, it matters more. So I noticed something that it didn't ask me. It did not ask me how much memory. Memory is RAM. Memory is not storage. So it's going to call it a hard disk for the 60 gigs. Again, it's not a hard disk. It's on a solid state drive. But again, this is getting into the weeds. So it didn't ask me for this, so I'm going to actually do the customized hardware. So this software is nice in the fact that it will automatically ask you, it will automatically show you this. But this is an important thing to know, is how much RAM do you want? So I believe Windows requires 2 gigabytes of RAM. It recommends 3. I'm going to recommend 4. So it's going to say, it's going to recommend, or minimum. I'm going to tell you, you should, if you can fit 4 gigs of RAM, give it 4 gigs of RAM. Now, this is important because, so you might only have 8 gigs of RAM, where you'll see that I have 32 gigs of RAM. You might only have 8, but you can still give it 4. It won't use all 4 unless it needs to, and you will both be able to still access it, assuming it's working. Now, the other thing I want to note here is that virtual machines will ask you in megabytes. So 1 gigabyte, you might hear it mistakenly referred to as 1,000. It is not actually 1,000 because of how binary works. 1 gigabyte is actually 1024 megabytes. I know it sounds weird, but it is an important distinction that it is 24. So 2 gigabytes, as shown above here. So this one has a sliding scale. You'll notice that the other ones, one, at least VirtualBox will not. It will just ask you how many megabytes you have, or you want. 2 gigabytes is equal to double the amount. So it is 2048. 4 gigabytes is going to be equal to, is equal to 4096, and then 8 gigabytes, which is, I would say, an insane amount to just give a test install like this amount, but hey, you might want to do that on the Linux machine. I'm not going to stop you. Or 8 gigabytes will be 8192 megabytes. And these should be all lowercase. It matters to nerds, but these are different numbers. Just note that I am talking about megabits, not mega. Oh no, it should be capital. Sorry, you're right. No, I got that backwards. It should be all capital B's or capital letters. Megabytes versus megabits are different. We are talking about the big ones. Again, not that important for you to know. And I will show you those values again because in a different thing, we do not get this nice little. The one nice thing about VMware is you get this nice little scroll where you're like, oh, I kind of want 4 gigs of RAM. And then it still doesn't click correctly. Okay. And then it will just give you the megabyte value. So yeah, you want to go into the customization. You're going to want to give it more than 2 gigabytes of RAM if you can. It will technically boot. The other thing is I could give it is more than 2 CPUs. I recommend it if you're going to actually be using it. I would give it a bit more, but I don't actually care. So I'm just going to run it. I'm just going to go with this. It's going to create it, and then it's going to automatically start booting and then start doing the install. I'm going to show you a little trick on Windows on how to not have to give it assuming I can. So you're going to want to go in there. You're going to have to tell it to boot from a device. You'll notice that it says Control Alt. Yeah, you'll notice that if you click into it, you might lose your mouse. If you do, it's in this one. It says to press Control Alt to move out. That's weird. I've never had it give me this weird issue with the display. Like there we go. Okay, so it just seems like it's just up and down a little bit. I don't know what happened there. I think it failed the install. We're gonna just try again. It might have just I might have clicked a button. But yeah, you'll notice it's booting into Windows, but you'll notice that we're still just running Windows. Oh, sorry. There is something. So like, if you do get annoyed by the clicking in and getting captured, there are drivers that will help fix this problem. Oh hi, human tripod. Thanks for the Prime. I honestly forgot that I could even do that. Why didn't my alerts sound? Did my alerts sound for you guys? Sorry about that. That should have worked. Know what, Noah? You can get pranked. I think I can actually still. I wonder if this will still work. Oh, is it just? Oh, there we go.
Got it.
Get pranked, Noah.
A kind gesture.
Loaded with the $3.
Oh, there we go.
No, that's icky.
I realized what was wrong. My audio was off. There, Noah. I can shout you out and play clips from you.
No, that's more efforts than escaping at that point.
Look at all of this production. I'm a monster? Dude, this is... Yeah. So yeah, if you get stuck in here, you can install these tools. They're actually in my way though, so that's actually really annoying. How has it been Noah. You missed the great stream of me streaming for 15 minutes without my mic on, so I just ended the stream and started again. Oh, and did you get captured by the ad? Oh, yeah, it kind of sucked. The best part was that I was just typing along. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna work." No, you can cancel this. Did know what I'm saying? It. We're just cutting. I think we just cut this. This was working for me before, but it is not working. We might just say fuck VMware entirely. Press OK. You can't find the hard drive. All right, no. This is what we call. This is a fucking disgrace. VMware, fuck off. You know what? Yeah, we're calling it. We're saying it right now. Where's my pen? Do not use this goddamn piece of shit software. VMware's bad. Fuck this shit. This sucks. Oh yeah, that's right. I had an ad break going. That's great. Yeah, no. Anyone who wasn't here, fuck VMware. It fucking sucks. It didn't work. I don't care. This fucking shit sucks. It fucking asked me for my fucking street address. I don't want it. So yeah, so you know that part where I said I was going to show you 3? We're not. There's only two things you should use. Oh my god, what is happening? I gave it a fake address. Ooh, my computer is acting weird. One moment, guys. Okay. What is... Alright. So we just move that into the trash bin and we move on with our day. No, get the fuck out of here. So next one we'll do is Oracle VirtualBox. This is my bread and butter. I've used this the most amount. Nothing is going to go easy for me, is it? One moment, guys. All right. So, yeah, with this, we're gonna install Windows again. You can type in the name now. Now this starts off by asking for the name, where I'm going to put in Windows 10. It will, because of the name, it will automatically detect that I want Windows 10. It's going to assume that I want 64-bit because I can run 64-bit. This is where the little chart was very nice. So in VMware, they expect you to kind of know what the fuck you're doing. So they don't glove you. So again, Windows 10 wants minimum of 2 gigs. I recommend 4 gigs. So 1 gigabyte is actually 1024. 2 gigabytes, it does default to 2 gigs, which is nice, is 2048. I'm recommending 4 gigabytes for this, which means you're going to want 4096. If you want to go baller with 8 gigabytes, you could assign more than 8 gigs. But for 8 gigs, if you want to be baller, you assigned it 80. Oh no, did my... Oh no. Because everything is breaking. All right. I just want to make sure that, okay, my micro is still working. It could have been working, but I just didn't trust it. So for 8 gigs, you're going to give it 8196 megabytes. Yes? 8192. 8192. Again, these are megabytes. We're just going to give it. We're just going to give it the standard amount that I recommend, which is 4096. We're going to create a thing. It's going to default to 50 gigs. I think that's fine for me. Again, I have 2 terabytes. This one, it's going to ask you for different types. So it wants to default to using what is known as virtual VDI or virtual box, which is a proprietary storage file extension. It's going to probably run the best if you're using VirtualBox, but if you're thinking about moving this to maybe you want to do Hyper-V in the future, I recommend this one is most compatible with other. That's not how you spell compatible, but we're going with it. This one's going to be the most compatible with other virtual machine software. So if you want to thinking about moving around, like maybe you want to get Windows 10, or you found that you have a Windows 10 EDU license or Windows 11 EDU license and you want to try it later, I would move to this one. If not, you can just use VirtualBox Disk Image. It works pretty good for VirtualBox. I'm just going to do that because I don't really care. You're going to find out a lot of things I just don't care about. Not that I don't care about, but like I'm going to build in virtual Hyper-V anyways. So this one is important. So I'm going to give it 50 gigs. I'm going to assign it dynamically, which means that it won't actually take up 50 gigs until it takes up 50 gigs. So it won't take up it will take up only the space that it is using. So if you install 20 gigs worth of stuff on it, it will only take up 20 gigs. And it will dynamically do that up to 50. Fixed space is really nice if you don't want to accidentally overwrite too much. Dynamically fixed, it will just be a 50 gig file. It will just exist. It will take up 50 gigs. Both have their merits. Fixed size is really good if you're worried about overutilizing disk space. Dynamically allocated is really good if you don't want to use up all of that space immediately. I'm going to go with dynamically allocated. 50 gig VDI. So again, you can change how much space it's going to take up here. But it defaults to 50. So in this one, it is weird because it doesn't ask you for a couple of things. So the first thing you need to do is you need to go into your settings up here. You're going to want to go to, I'm going to go into display and just make sure that's using all of the display power it can. Video memory, it can. It should go up to 128. I've never seen it higher. I'm going to enable 3D acceleration and then push it to the 2056. This will just make it a little snappier. Not the important one. The important thing here, though, is you should go into system. You want to go to CPU, you want to go into systems, and you want to go into processor. And you want to at least give it 2 cores. I'm going to give it 4. I forgot that I have like 24 CPUs. This is very important. If you don't give it at least 2 gigs, Windows will probably run, but it's not going to run well. Or for at least 2 gigs, at least 2 CPUs. It's going to run, but it's not going to run well. And then the last thing you have to do, you have to go into the storage. You have to go into what looks like this little disk thing. Right? It's looking for a disk image file. You want to go to this drop down here. And you're going to want to choose one. So I posted in the links earlier, but I can post them again. I just have them here. These are my ISOs. These are all of the operating systems that I have. And we want the Windows one. And then we can power on. We can power on the machine. I'm just going to drop the links again in chat for anyone who is trying to follow along. When this is uploaded to a YouTube channel, they will just be there. They'll be in the description. On the Twitch clips, I don't know how I can do that. I'm going to try to figure out a good solution to do that. Oh, it does not want to open a thing. Is this just my hubris? Okay. One moment. I'm going to unenable this. And see if that works. This was working for me earlier. I can pivot to... Dude, what? This is so funny. This, might be the worst thing I've ever done. Because what's happening? Why is this not working? I've done this hundreds of times. We're going to do a headless start, see if it's just... I'm going to go through my troubles. All right, well, this is why we do troubleshooting. Virtual box. Failed to get device handle and or partition ID 4. Oh, I know what's the problem. It was my hubris. So I forgot one very important detail about this, and I was supposed to test this. I tested these all individually. So I installed VMware and tested it, and then it worked, and then I installed Oracle Virtual Machine, and then it worked, and then I enabled Hyper-V. You would think this would work. So, I'm going to show you what happens. So I'm going to bet right now that Hyper-V is just going to work for me. And if that is the case, we are going to reboot, and then I will do it again. So in Hyper-V, I'm going to go in here and create a virtual machine. We're going to call it Windows 10, which we've tried many times. For this one, because it's Windows 10, we can do generation 1 or 2. If you're doing Windows 11, you're going to need to do generation 2, I believe. Uh, 4096, so it gives us 4 gigs of RAM. We're going to use the default switch, which will let it bridge our network adapter so we can get the network out. We're going to make a thing. I'm going to tear this down to 50 gigs. I don't need that big. And then we're going to install an operating system from a ISO. ISOs are disk images. We're going to install our Windows thing, Windows It didn't ask me for CPUs, but we're just gonna go finish. Then I'm just gonna go and check. So it's gonna be settings. So it's right click there. I right clicked it, went to settings. It gave us 8 virtual processors. We're just gonna go with that. That's good. Again, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this on. So I double clicked it to open it up, and then I have to press start. I can right click it, press start. I'm really falling apart because so what effectively happens is if you're running multiple virtual machines, yeah, see, this is just working. So if you're running multiple virtual machine programs, don't. I kind of forgot about it because I wasn't fully thinking about it. But one of the issues is that hypervisor specifically doesn't like to play along with the others. So all of those virtual technologies that lets virtual machine and VMware actually make VMs gets basically controlled by Hyper-V, and Hyper-V doesn't share it. So I'm going to show you how to install on Hyper-V. This is the last thing I wanted to show you because this is more of what you expect to do. But what's going to happen is I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you how to install Windows 10 on it, then Ubuntu. Then I'm going to uninstall it and then show you from VirtualBox. Again, I think VirtualBox is just more, you can get it more access. It has more support on a bunch of different things. So let's start here. It's going to ask you for a thing. You're just going to say you don't have a product key unless for some reason you have a spare one. Pro is on here. I'm just going to still go with Home. I don't really care. I don't really think I'm going to do much with the Windows VM. I just want to show you guys that you can install Windows. What? Hold on. Yeah, I want Windows Home. This might be a situation where I'm going to put in Pro because of something weird. Huh, it doesn't like me. So this is not a problem with Hyper-V. I'm just going to try Pro. I'm wondering if Pro will let me because I could technically have a Pro. Yeah. My educated guess here is that technically Pro's weird in the fact that you could have an offline Pro license dealer, I think. So it's just going to let me install it. It doesn't recognize a home license on the computer. Or it could be that. I guess I have a Pro license for the laptop, so it might be using the same one. Sorry, I should show this. So we're going to go to custom install. I always recommend custom install. You guys are now gone to an ad break again. This is great. I like how many ads this is running. I have to figure that out. So always do custom. So this is really meant for, it's not going to let you, it's really only meant for, like, let's say I have a Windows 10 machine, I want to boot it to 11, and I have a Windows 11 boot drive. Like a thumb drive with Windows 11, and I go in and I want to install it. This is really meant for just upgrades. It does say it. Like, it only works for upgrades. I never do it, ever. Even if I'm doing an upgrade, I'm actually just going to do a fresh install. So we're going to select our only option, which is the 50 gig ones. When making a virtual machine, you won't ever see this, but you might sometimes see this have multiple partitions. And what that just means is that the disk, or multiple things, multiple options here. What that means is there's multiple partitions or multiple disks. So you should be careful about that, but for building a VM, it should only ever show you one. Because it's a fresh new disk. Right? It's a fresh new storage device. It's never done anything. It's never had anything done to it. So you just press new, next, and it will take that full 50 gigs for the Windows install. We're copying the files, we're getting it ready for the installation. Now, I said that I was going to look up what Ubuntu LTS stood for, even though I'm pretty sure it means latest, stable, but what does LTS stand for? Oh, sorry, it actually stands for long-term support. So basically, they're published every 2 years in April. They're the enterprise grade thing. So your enterprise software is probably running long-term support. It means that Ubuntu, the people who run Ubuntu, which I believe their company name is Ubuntu. No, it's a chronological. The company that runs Ubuntu or manages Ubuntu will have long-term support for it. I don't know how long they consider how long-term is, but that is what LTS stands for. I'm learning stuff the same time you guys are. So yeah, you notice this is gonna take a while. So long, in fact, that it will be questionable if my sanity goes first. But yeah, so the reason that I was having problems with VMware and Oracle Box was because I had Hyper-V already enabled. I'm going to try to disable it and try again because I want to show you guys what Oracle's VirtualBox looks like. Again, I think it's just a good thing if you don't have access to Hyper-V. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I've kind of rambled for a while about VMs and other technologies, so I am very glad to continue to ramble. But while we're waiting, I'm going to drink some water. That's not good water. And I'm gonna put some just tunes on the background just while we're waiting. I'm kind of losing my voice already, so I don't want to throw it out too well. Too quickly. Yeah, so next week we're going to focus a lot on Linux, which means the virtual machines are going to be kind of important, so I might reinforce some of this next week. It will depend. So we're going to just... Yes, no, it is Beneath the Mask. It's really good, and YouTube and Twitch don't claim it because it's technically in a video game. So yeah, you'll notice that we just had to press like a restart button at the bottom. real lazy time. Yeah, there was like a reset button like here. You just could reset it. It would also automatically reset. So it's just gonna get ready, and then once we get in here, we'll make an account. Once I get booted into Windows, we'll be done. That will have officially been how to install Windows on Hyper-V. Then it will be installing the Linux distro or distribution Ubuntu. Ubuntu is very user-friendly. I would say it's... I think it might be the most popular one. People love or hate it. I like it. It works well enough. There will be weird people who will say that Arch is their be-all, end-all. But if you know people, like, you'll know if you know people who use Arch Linux. Might be the first thing they say when they meet you. We love you, Arch Linux users, but calm down sometimes. And again, I don't want to get too into the weeds about the different versions of Linux in the not Linux section, in the not Linux week or lesson. Ooh, what is happening? Sorry. One moment. I just need to figure out. Okay, there we go. You kidnapped my pen. Again, I'm gonna call this out. If anyone knows a software that lets me draw on the screens, but like will detect when I'm using the pen versus the mouse, it would be a godsend, because mine does not. And I've tried several of them. This one has been the best. It's called Live Draw, and it's at least worked very well. It's just annoying because I'm like, I'm writing on my pen, which means I want like the pen to work. I don't want this to be a mouse. I just want it to be the pen. And then this, like, this is a mouse. Like, make this the mouse. I'm asking for a lot, I know. And it might just be a limitation of how Windows recognizes Wacom tablets. Is this not on random? Oh, it's not on random. There will be several Persona 5 songs. Ellis, please don't sue me. So we're gonna set this up for personal use. You're gonna tell it offline account? It's somewhere over there. I have this memorized. Cool. Then we're gonna call it. I'm gonna call it test. You can write your name here. Oh, I guess we'll call it Jello. You should write a password. I'm not. It's a virtual machine that's not gonna get turned on again, so I don't care. No, not now. Edge needs to go. Oh no! And then you see this. This is the real sin of Windows. Tell it no to everything all the time. Don't let it do anything like this. This is terrible. Then we're gonna skip. I don't really need a task meet that. And then you say not now because Cortana is not needed. And then hi. So once this boots into a desktop, we'll close out of it. We'll make a Ubuntu machine. Again, this is on Hypervisor or Hyper-V, which is specifically only for Windows 10 and 11 Pro, EDU, or Enterprise. So if you don't have Pro or Education, you more than likely don't have Enterprise unless you're using your work computer and your work computer is lets you do whatever you want. So if you don't have Pro or EDU, and the way you can tell that is actually that's a good idea. I can show you that while this is installing. This is just gonna say it's taking a few moments. So the easiest way I have found to finding this is if you just type in system information, notice that this is running Windows 11 Pro. It was running Windows 10 Pro until it's been a while, but basically one day I booted this machine up and then it was like, oh, pranked, you're going to Windows 11. Yeah, so the weird thing about Windows Hyper-V is that it more acts like you're using what we call RDP or Remote Desktop Protocol. Which means it's more like, oh, do you want to connect to this machine and like it makes it look like you're remote desktoping into your work computer. But anyways, that's Windows installed. If I hide my face cam for a second, hydrate with the worst water I've ever had in my life. Okay, that's not true. Actually, the Sunny's the worst, but we can't talk bad about them. And Noah didn't tell me. Hi, Blue Fire. Yeah, I mean, you missed the adventure of me getting mad, and like, there was about an hour and a half of me just talking about nothing important, so it's probably good that you missed cringe. So this is Windows 10 installed. I need to hide my cam. That's what I wanted to do. No, it distracted me. Where is my camera? God, if you could see the terribleness. So, that is my stream scenes layout. I think Noah would actually have a condition. Yeah, you can see that we installed Windows 10 and it automatically connects to a thing, to a network. I did it earlier. I had to use the default thing. Just to confirm, we're going to... Oh my god. No. Okay. I'm gonna go to twitch.tv. We're gonna mute the audio before that. And yeah, you can see that it's working. You can go to... What? JELO, right? Yep, and you can see our stream. Oh, you can see an ad for my stream. We're gonna watch this. We're gonna watch this ad. I'm gonna make less than a penny. Do you want me to just quit right now and play X Defiant? Is that what you want? Do you want me to just log into X Defiant? Also, why do you have 5,000 channel points? Like, I know that I streamed a lot, and you guys just... Okay, cool. So, anyways, yeah, no, do what you want. Yeah, that's fair. I want to at least show how installing Ubuntu works. We're gonna shut down that VM. Then we're going to... Oh my god. We're gonna do another new virtual machine. We're gonna call this one, you'll never guess it, Ubuntu, because that's what we're installing. I didn't mention this before, but this does default to your C drive. So if you're running 2 hard drives, you might want to change that. You just click this and you can just browse to like your D drive or whatever you call your other disk. Again, I have 1 drive and it has 2 terabytes or 1.5 terabytes free on it. It's fine. We can do generation 1 here still. I think generation 2, I think for Windows 11 you are required for generation 2. I could be wrong about that. I hope you guys are enjoying the vibe music at least. And if I need to turn it up, let me know. I can actually turn it up for specifically you guys and not me. I haven't even checked to make sure it's actually sounding through. Okay. So volume's good. Okay. Is it too loud now? For Ubuntu, we're going to go back to my little chart that I've talked about a few times now, but it is an important one. Again, remember, memory is actually your RAM. It is not your... Oop. Memory when it says to assign memory, memory is actually your RAM, not your storage. Oh my. Not storage. It is RAM. RAM, for the nerds who want to know, is an acronym for Random Access Memory. But that is beyond the point of what I want to mention here again, which is just the amount of RAM is really important for your machine. So for Linux, you can get away with 2 gigabytes of RAM if you really want. I think it recommends 3 gigabytes. I'm going to continue to recommend 4 gigabytes. Ubisoft Connect is really annoying. And then 1 gigabyte we'll just put there just to note. The importance of this is that that virtual software really likes megabytes over gigabytes. I don't know if that will change sometime in the future, but that is how it works. So for 1 gigabyte, it is 1024 megabytes or 2048 megabytes, or 3 gigs is a weird one. 3 gigabytes is weird. It's 30. $72, I believe. Wait, hold on. It's really easy. You can just add them together. I'm just really bad at math. 2, 7, 0. Yeah, it's 3072. I forgot to jot down that. I forgot that I was going to even have to talk about it. But I'm going to recommend 4 gigs, which is 4096 megabytes. Just in case you thought I was talking about dicks here. Or bananas. Bananas for scale. But yeah. It's just important because they will assume that you know what this means. And this is the easy, handy chart. I will write it most times that you guys are going to need it. If you need a refresher, you should VIP me so I don't get a 70-second ad. You should use your Twitch Primes. Yeah, if you don't want... But yeah, I can do that. Oh, I don't think I can. Oh no, perfect. You should be VIP'd now. I thought you couldn't VIP mods for some reason. That might be an old Twitch thing. But yeah, I guess you probably just watched a 20-second thing. So what I was saying here is that when it asks about RAM, memory, it's a RAM. It's not talking about storage. It's talking about RAM, and that it's gonna tell you in it's gonna want it in megabytes, and this is just kind of the translation. So 1 gigabyte is actually equal to 1024. It's not 1,000. This is because of binary. Oh god, we could get into this long string, but effectively in binary it doesn't work. It doesn't work in nice thousands because there are 8 in a byte. So like this is all 0. This is 1 byte of, well, it's technically 0. It's a 0 byte in binary, right? And then like if you wanted 1 byte to equal 1, it would be that. I would love to discuss more about binary, but I'm a little behind schedule already because of a couple technical difficulties. So in this case, I'm just going to go with 4 gigs. I think that's a good amount. We're going to use dynamic memory for this, which means that it won't... I think I failed to mention this when we did Windows, which means it won't just give it 4 gigs RAM. I think Oracle VirtualBox already does this. I don't know about VMware. It just didn't work, and I just don't... It's bad. Don't use it. Then we're going to go to next. Here, your networking. You're going to just want to do default switch. There's a couple reasons to other ones, but very bare bones. You want at least this because this way it can go out to the internet. Then you're going to want to create a hard disk. Again, it wants to give it a lot of space. I don't want to give it that much space. Oh. This is not working. Oh. Oh, I think my pen was clicking on the button. So then we're going to go to next. We're going to install it from a portable thing. Portable CD DVD ROM. Obviously I don't have a CD of Windows here. I have what is called an ISO, which is an image, which is an image. It is a file extension that effectively is a image that you would put on a disk. So we're gonna go there. We're gonna find our Ubuntu 24.04 desktop, which is important because it will have a GUI or graphical user interface, which means you can actually click around on it and you won't just see a terminal with just words like you would in like DOS. And then AMD 64 is important. I feel like I should have really done a hardware office hours first. But this is my mistake, and we're just going to journey on through it. AMD 64 is important because we're running a 64-bit operating system. If you've been following along and have had problems because you're running an ARM-based things, what do you want? You subbed... Noah, you subbed with your Twitch Prime. What? What about no? What are you saying no? I don't want it now. Okay. I forgot the VIPs were even a thing, Noah. I don't know what you want from me. Wow, this sucks. Something is lagging my computer. I know what it is, but I'm too afraid to fix it. You put the hydrate on cooldown. Now oh, yep. Noah, you're the reason it's on cooldown. I'll fix it though, because I don't need it on the ridiculous cooldown I needed it for. Dude, this is not working. Okay. We'll get through this. My mouse is just not loving me right now. I think the batteries in the mouse are dying. That's weird. It's a dirt. Oh, this is an old mouse though. I just don't think I have much battery. Let me check my. Those are AAA's. Yeah, so my mouse is just kind of dying. We're just gonna have to deal with it. Yeah, no, this is on cooldown because you guys once made me drink like almost a gallon of water in like 5 minutes. I had to pee so badly. Like so many times. Okay. I know what my option is. Sorry guys, this has been a great time to talk about the fact that nothing works. So again, it doesn't ask you to assign the amount of CPU you want to give it, so I'm just going to go in and check. It does give it 8. That is perfectly fine. Hyper-V seems to be smart enough to give you not too much, but not too little. Which is great logic. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to right-click. I want to connect to it. Technically, I could press start. I'm going to press start, and then I'm going to connect to it. It doesn't really matter because you can connect to it and then press the start button. So to install, we are going to use the try and install Ubuntu. So you don't actually technically need to install Ubuntu to use it. You can just try it. Oh, now this mouse is working. Dude, this is the little mouse that couldn't. Alright, Noah. Oh, wait. Get refunded, nerd. Logan, I can just reject your fucking thing. No, if you could quickly tell me how the fuck I can do this, I can make it so that way the redemption you can. Oh, I think I know how to do this. Because we're doing live free Twitch tech support. If you guys have problems with your tech with your Twitch, ask me and I won't help you. What was my... Oh. Nope. There, Noah. It's now only on a 2-minute cooldown. I'm still keeping it on a cooldown because I don't have that much water left. And I don't have a BRP screen. Okay, so sorry. You boot in, it's gonna ask you for a language. You're gonna hit next. Accessibilities. If you have accessibility needs, you can click through these. I don't, and I don't fully want to try to... Why did you pin that? No, what are you doing now? What? You've deleted his comment? What is happening? Oopsies, I clicked. Wait, what? What? Why don't I see that on my mod view? I panicked. Okay. Thanks, Noah. So there's accessibility options. I'm not going to go through them because I don't feel like that I am qualified to say how good they are. That would be an interesting topic to go over, is how bad accessibility in computers are or how good they are. Keyboard layout is English US because I'm not a heathen. We will use the wired connector. Yep. It's because it sees a bridge connection as a wired connection. We are just gonna install, but note that if you were just interested in trying Linux and you weren't doing this on a VM, you could take a little USB stick, use some software to make a boot drive, and then just try Linux, and then you didn't have to dedicate to installing it, and you could just try it. But we're just going to install it because we like Ubuntu. We're going to go through the interactive installation because I want to show you guys every step by step. Also, I just don't have a auto install.yaml script. Oh, I do, but not here. But this is the one you're going to want to do. This is really good if you are an engineer and you want to make a bunch of machines and you have you can have just a script that goes through and makes them exactly how you want them every time. Or if you're a system admin who is deploying machines into your corporate environment. But the interactive installation works. That's just what I meant, is I wanted the extended selection. I want to show you just kind of what it does. So this will just pick the default ones. This will let you pick more things, and then it does offline. So if I had a graphics card in this, let's say I was actually installing, this would be important. And again, I'm not doing this for anything hosty, but you would want to be able to do this. So let's say you were running your like main computer, you would want to have your graphics card and Wi-Fi cards work pretty much out of the box. And then this would let you watch, move MP4s and other media formats. It actually doesn't handle all of them though still, so it kind of gets annoying, but you would definitely want these two if this was going to be your like daily driver. We are going to erase and install things. You could go custom through if you wanted to do Windows and Linux, and I might show that on a different stream on how to like have a dual boot operating system. I need another computer I could sacrifice. I might have another computer I could sacrifice with it. But for the processes of making VMs, you could just erase the disk and install. Obviously, we type our name. We do. I believe this is going to force me to make a password. Yes, it is going to force a password because Linux, unlike Windows, does not want to just let you have admin rights without a password. And it will password fail me. I think if I... Let me try. Yeah. Okay, that's a failure. Ubuntu, you should not let me type this password. Anyways. You should not let me type that in as a password. This should not be allowed. And we're just gonna install. Ad break in progress again. Dude, what is Twitch? What is Twitch's like compression on? Do I just have a high amount of ads per? Oh, I just... No, that's the default. Oh my god. I'm compressing to less ads, guys. I do get 55% of the ad revenue now. Ad rev now, though, so like that's cool. I get the majority of the money for the ads running on my stream that I do most of the work for, and they just host the website, and the website's not even good for people to find you. Yeah, I'm getting a really good deal out of this, I swear. Oh yeah, so the music that's playing right now is from Midnight Playtime. He is a small musician that I found on, I think on a Reddit post, but he's on Spotify and he allows you to use his music on streams. I just want to like shout out that Midnight Playtime is who's playing the current music. Hopefully he didn't lie to me or somebody didn't lie to me on Reddit on his behalf. Obviously if you do have a problem, just let me, if Midnight Time, if you have a problem or you see my music being used, your music being used and you don't want it to be, just let me know and I'll remove it from my playlist. So Ubuntu is just kind of installing. I don't know how long it's gonna take. I was looking through some Twitch settings, just fixing some stuff because honestly I have not touched this platform in so long. Oh, you know what? I should do what I did to Noah to Logan. I wonder if he's still here. While is this running? Why? What is was that a clip from your channel? That's what it was supposed to be. It's supposed to pull a random clip from their channel. Did I type in the name wrong? Does it pull? What? Does it pull clips that you made as well? Because that could be it. Oh. Wait, no, yeah, you have clips. No, that is a. Oh, hold on. I can't easily show this on stream. No, that is actually a clip from. That's a clip I made. It was for your first stream working out the bugs. Yeah, that was a clip from your stream. Yeah, but yeah, it does pull random clips from your stream. That's so funny. I'll send you the link to it in Discord. Discord. Woo! Woo! Yep. You could double hear me. I don't know why I clipped this, but I hear. From when? That's a good question. I'm gonna tell you, I did not look that up. Eight years ago. 8 whole ass years ago. That's so funny. Oh. Yeah, I didn't know that you even played Naruto on stream. I was expecting it to pull up one of the Siege clips. Oh, sorry, I was too busy with the chat. So yeah, it installed every operating system after you install it is going to want to do an uninstall. Part of that is that it puts in a boot manager. We're getting a little weeds for this again. But yeah, no. I'm glad that the shoutout just didn't break. I was like, why is it pulling random clips? And I'm glad that it's just actually pulling random clips. It's a really nice feature. Yeah, if you guys if people raid me and stuff, it should actually automatically also do that shout out. I learned that from a Twitch streamer, Rocks in My Dryer, who has not done Twitch streaming in I think over a year now. I might still be subbed to him, but yeah, shoutouts to Rocks, even though you're definitely not in chat. I would be very surprised. When he comes back, I will definitely if he comes back to streaming, I will definitely push him more. Because it does seem like the current trend is that I will be streaming more often. Once this is installed, I'm actually not going to do the next part, which is to show Oracle Box. I have to refix it. I think I'm just going to leave that for next week, where I'm just going to build a Ubuntu machine for the first part. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to load in, go on stream, use VirtualBox to make the VM, and then we're going to use that VM to teach the basics of Linux. Very specifically, we are going to be teaching Ubuntu. I am going to be talking about the distributions of Linux and all of the craziness of that. I'm going to try to do it as surface level as possible. Knowing me, I'm going to ramble a lot and go very far into the weeds, but I think it would be nice. Ubuntu is a very user-friendly one. I think it's the most user-friendly in my opinion. The other really friendly one is MintOS. But I will explain next week on why those two are pretty similar. Are you guys full up on X-Defiant, people? Oh. No? Okay. Because I might switch over to doing that for fun. For after the stream, because I'm gonna be popping off once this boots up. Oop. Assuming this works, because that's a problem. That looks like a kernel panic. So sometimes the best way to fix a problem is just to turn it off and turn it back on. Ooh, could not shut down. So you'll notice that this says shut down and turn off. Shut down is like you're actually telling the operating system to turn off gracefully. This is more like just taking the power cord out of the back. So doing it like yeah, just ripping the cord out of the wall. Cool. Yeah, so now it's seeing it's booting into it. It might still kernel panic here. I could not tell you why it kernel panicked. But if this works, it's probably just because when it did a reboot, it didn't like something. Yep. Okay, so it's booted. We're going to put in our very secure password. And perfect. Welcome to Linux 1.8. You can tell it has internet access. We'll just confirm. Again, you could run this without internet, but for our purposes, it doesn't make sense to do that. You think Twitch.com is owned by Twitch.tv? Oh, hey, look. Ludwig's Fast 50 is happening. But anyways, that's gonna be kind of it for this stream. We're gonna go raid somebody. I'm just gonna look around. I'm gonna try to find somebody who's around our level, who's also doing software and development, software and game development, because that's where I am currently. If you guys have anyone I recommend streaming, let me know. But if not, I'm waiting to find out if this is all good. But with that, yep. So we've installed Windows and Ubuntu only on Hyper-V, which again I recommend as the best because it is the most believable. Not most believable, it's the most popular. Most believable, most popular for corporations. So if you're gonna do, if you are looking to do this as a job, you will use this. I don't think I need that entire thing. I think I just need this. All right. We're going to raid somebody who is doing some coding. I think it would be very interesting. We're going to hit the end of stream.